Guys, we often overreact to news, so don't come in here thinking I'm just trying to generate some kind of negative attention to draw clicks, because that's not what this is today. Rather, what I want to talk about is a little bit of a pattern I've noticed over the years when it comes to Nintendo Directs, datamines, and leak culture in general, and how it impacts the hype cycle leading up to games. Specifically, I'm just going to be talking about the Mario Kart series because that's mainly what we do here. This morning, we had a 15-minute Nintendo Direct honing in on Mario Kart World. This game has received a lot of attention, of course, partly due to its price tag, but also because the expectation of being a system seller has been placed on its shoulders. Needless to say, it really needs to be a hit for Nintendo. And from what I've seen, it looks to be a really good package. It looks like it's going to provide us with the best single player in series history by quite a margin, it has the wackiest character roster yet, and it provides many new ways to play the game. But that said, today was a bad look in my opinion. This is not really me having an issue with the game's content. I was one of the first to say after the Switch 2 Direct that this game appeared to have 30 to 32 courses, so I wasn't disappointed in not seeing any new ones today. It was actually my expectation. And while I've expressed a desire for more standard courses, and in fact think there could have been more too, I understand that the world and all of its connectivity provides more track content than Mario Kart 8 did at launch. But this all is not why I think today wasn't good. I think this because I don't understand how this Direct sold anybody on this game that wasn't sold already. Because while its content was fed to us in a more straightforward manner than it was on April 2nd, almost none of this information was truly new. And you didn't have to be an expert to notice this either. I mean, there wasn't even a new character, which is one of the things that players of all varieties are going to take note of when watching these presentations. And it is apparent here that Nintendo played all their cards at the beginning of the month. Because if they had more hidden courses or characters, this was the time to showcase them and show off all the content the game has. As cool as it would be to have hidden unlockables in the game, it just doesn't make sense to not present them now when a legitimate question going around your fanbase is if the new game is even worth it. So this was certainly an approach, and to me it is actually unfortunate. Now, I am not the demographic that Nintendo has to worry about when it comes to actually buying the game, but as someone who talks about the games and in some senses willingly creates some free buzz for them, it would be a good thing for both me and them if I had insightful and fun things to say about their Direct today. But I don't really, and I'm never going to fake content if there's not actually anything interesting to talk about. Of course, I realize I am just one cog in their hype machine, and I am pretty insignificant in the grand scheme of it all. And surely there are going to be creators who are going to find a way to make something out of quite literally nothing, and for some it's actually their job to do just that. But my point in saying this all is that Nintendo themselves are largely responsible for how the hype cycle of their game goes, whether it's positive, negative, impactful, or non-existent. And as a creator, it is my job to point out when I think they swing and miss. The video I was hoping to make today would have been discussing something that we didn't know yesterday, but instead, I am doing a video that's been on my to-do list. That is what's disappointing to me, not the game itself. 11 years ago, we had a Mario Kart Direct at the end of April ahead of Mario Kart 8's original release. I was thinking about it again recently since it felt like we were getting a sequel to it in a sense, and that Direct almost feels like a fever dream when looking back at it. I can't really do its weirdness justice with just words alone, so here's a few highlights.
What's next?
Susie, calm down. Piranha plant!
Is what I think it is?
Yes, this time those pesky piranha plants are items.
That's exciting. So it'll get all nom 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 on everything automatically.
Exciting, isn't it?
In life, everyone wants to get first place, but that's no reason to sacrifice beauty and grace. Just look at this elegant setup. The Prancer body with its white horses that move as you ride. It makes you feel all pretty. Your knight in shining armor awaits. The bottom is like a carriage with wooden wheels. After all, you don't care about performance. You're too busy being beautiful.
And of course, I still feel so bad for this guy constantly telling us about how balanced the carts and bikes were in this game, while not really having any idea about fire hopping. It's a tough spot to be placed into. But this Direct in many ways felt like the end of an era. Its expectations were different than the one today, as there were plenty of Directs featuring Mario Kart 8 leading up to it. People were already excited about this game, all it had to do was stick the landing. And I think it did. Of course, unveiling Baby Rosalina and Pink Gold Peach was rough, but it showed off things like Tournament Mode, Mario Kart TV, the final Retro Course, Mount Wario, Bowser's Castle, and Rainbow Road. The band performance was quite fun, and they even unveiled that buying the game and registering it on Club Nintendo would allow you to download one of 4 specific, fully priced first-party Nintendo games. This Direct had a ton of filler, but it did succeed in answering all the final questions about a game that people were actively speculating about and excited for. There were new trailers constantly in the months leading up to this Direct. The E3 trailer the year before had unveiled the anti-gravity gimmick, the second one was focused on showing off many of their best new course ideas, and the third one brought the couplings and inside drifting bikes back, while the fourth one focused on items and retro courses. Including the 32-course trailer at the end of the Mario Kart 8 Direct, these 5 trailers all had something in common. They were all revealing new characters and new tracks that would be in the game. They were all adding a bit to the conversation. Every time a favorite track returned, or a new one looked great, that was the talk of the town for like a full week at least. And every time a new trailer dropped, I remember literally redoing all my retro track predictions, because one track being revealed would make one less likely or perhaps another one more likely. It was great for speculation and debate, and it felt like we were really building towards something special. I think Nintendo has clearly understood the effectiveness in rolling out a bunch of new trailers before. We've seen it with Smash. Every Direct before a Smash game, they would just be able to end with a character reveal, and that was enough to justify being the end of a 40-minute presentation, like every time. And as somewhat of a theory crafter, I definitely preferred it this way. I loved the puzzle aspect of trying to guess everything a new game might hold, while only carrying some of the pieces. Part of the fun of a reveal is just genuinely being surprised and caught off guard. It makes the personal wins all the better too. So when the Booster Course Pass was revealed, I kind of felt that same feeling again back from the initial Mario Kart 8 hype cycle. People were discussing Mario Kart World back then too, calling it 9 of course, so the Booster Pass was really unexpected at the time. But at the end of the day, I still had 8 new courses thrown at me out of left field, with the promise of 40 more shortly after, and that was awesome. But something unfortunate happened after. After Wave 1 dropped, people got access to a banner leak, revealing a bunch of the future courses. Then there was the prefix leak, where modders found out what game each of the returning courses would come from. There was the music leak. And of course, Mario Kart Tour data miners the entire time found a ton of new information ahead of time as well. By the time we were halfway into the Booster Pass era, almost everything was just known. All these people leaking the content were practically celebrated for it, as it allowed us to solve the full puzzle ahead of time. And Nintendo did change up some of the later waves to not match the leaks anymore, but what was done was still kind of done. And I would argue that so much of the fun in this was just lost. Yes, predictors like me were much more accurate than we otherwise would have been, but I felt like the content that we made was more boring as a result of it. Part of the fun in all of this is supposed to be the variety of opinions and even being wrong, not everyone chirping the same ideas with like one minute difference. And if any of us wanted to ignore the leaks, it would just mean that we'd be way less accurate than everyone else even if our process was good, which is fine, but if you're trying to be credible, it's not exactly a good strategy. Nor is it really possible to avoid leaks in this day and age. It's hard not to think about though. The later Booster Pass trailers could have been so much more fun to watch and react to if everything was truly unexpected. Yoshi's Island and Squeaky Clean Sprints reveals would have been insane had we not known anything about what they were prior to their trailers dropping. And I know this is going to make me sound old, but I almost feel bad for the new generation of players. It feels like they're never going to experience the rush of unlocking a new character in a game that they had no idea really existed, because that was like the coolest feeling ever. But the other thing is, even when things don't get leaked, there's still people on YouTube out there who somehow get every game 2 days early and then make the most ridiculous spoilery thumbnails possible of like all the bosses or secret characters or something, and you're just gonna see it even if you don't click on it. And I just have to ask you all to please stop clicking on these. You are still feeding into the system by clicking on a video just to complain in the comments, and if you're clicking it to not complain, I beg you to pick up a controller and play the game for yourself, please. Now, with everything considered, it almost makes me wonder if Nintendo just has a new strategy. If the first time any information comes out, all of it comes out, is that a way to effectively prevent, spoilers and leaks or what happened with the Booster Pass again? Because, they hid almost nothing with Mario Kart World. People have been playing the demo for weeks now, which seemingly contains nearly the entire game. And beyond just the world element of this new game, is part of the reason why the retro prefixes are gone just to prevent something like the prefix leak from happening again? Well, I hope this isn't the case, because while the April 2nd trailer was substantial, it almost felt like an information overload. We've never really expected to just see new information on a game and for it to just kinda be over right after the reveal. Yes, there were things to be excited about and discover and talk about for a bit, but once the dust settles and you process everything, it's kind of like, oh, this is actually just it. There aren't any more courses, there's nothing left to predict really, we just have to wait 60 days for the launch now. But then when there's a direct announcement centered around the game, like 2 weeks later, you feel like there has to be more, especially with a price tag that's this high. My friend Sammy D over at Kart Life has a trademark line of hype responsibly. It is for these kinds of situations, I would say. And I followed the instructions, and I don't find myself to be disappointed about the game today. And it's possible that even financially, this is just a better strategy for Nintendo. I mean, Mario Kart 8 notoriously took forever to come out, and they needed this game to be a launch title for a system that was only just revealed a few months back. But still, for whatever the actual reason may be, I do think that we've lost something exciting, and it's something that I wanted to not just talk about today, but kind of celebrate the idea of. It's possible that I will like Mario Kart World more than I ever liked Mario Kart 8, but when it does come to the excitement leading up to it all, I can't say that the build-up compares to what we had. So hopefully, if the outcome isn't great this time, some lessons can be learned, and perhaps we can go back next cycle. So that's all for today. Thanks for stopping in and listening to my mini rant. The acronym video development is still underway and will be out soonish. And if you just happen to be a game leaker listening in today, stop it. See you all next time.